computer. Here we go, and then I'm gonna go live on Facebook. Here we go. So obviously this part gets chopped off at the beginning.
Right.
William Andrade, William Andrade. Do you go by Willie or just William?
Willie. Everybody knows me by Willie.
Willie. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for the episode, I'll put William Andrade, and then you're with Eagle Blitz.
Well, Eagle Blitz transitioned to Dynasty, but more Dynasty.
Of a Dynasty.
Yeah.
Description of it. Tune in, bro. This guy runs more than Forrest Gump.
Not wrong.
I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, me too. I'm always trying to get more people running, get people out on the trail. So we're gonna talk about that.
I hate running, so I'm excited about this.
I hated it too 2 years ago, man.
For real?
Yeah, I hated running. I thought it was the stupidest sport ever.
I mean, no offense, but all right. Well, we're live now. So we'll get to
it. All right, cool.
Yeah. Holy cow. Well, hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm so excited. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. Feeling rested.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'm excited to meet you. Happy to meet you, man. Thanks for being
here.
on.
You too, brother. Heard a lot of good things, and I know you got like a book and tons of good stuff. You got a cool brother, but I never met you in person, so good to meet you, brother.
Yeah, man. I do have a book and a brother. Both of those things
are
true. That brother's a dad, and it's hilarious to see.
Yeah,
it's all good. Hey, thanks for being on. Thanks for being on. I'm excited to chat with you. Let's hop in. I mean, we're gonna get to some of the crazy stuff that you do currently, but we always start out with, hey, how did you get started? Who were you before someone bumped into you? How did you get recruited into this darn thing?
Yeah, so I was a freshman at Texas A&M. I was in one of my construction science classes, and honestly, I think it was Sean Brifo that passed out the flyer. And Sean didn't recruit me, but he passed out the flyer, I'm pretty sure, because you don't forget a guy like that. And yeah, he just passed out the flyer, said, "Big black man, big
listen
super
to our
happy
episode.
Black man." Right, go look at the last one. He's also my roommate. So it's just like, he passed it out, said, internship experience, $8,000, and clueless freshman hearing those words, like, I need experience, I need money. Let's fill this out, and got a call, and I'm such a buyer. I was like, from the moment I sat in the information, I wasn't even really clear what we were doing, but I was like, all right, let's do this. So, and Pedro recruited me.
Pedro's the one that called you. Man, what a person to get recruited by.
Yeah, very lucky.
Guy, I mean, talk to me about that, because like, what was that environment like? What do you think he did so well because for those of you who don't know, it was the year that you guys were the #1 team in the world, right? Like you guys.
Yeah, 20,
and it was by a while, right? By a lot.
It was a good bit. Pedro's a stud, and he had the #1 team in 2013, and he went off and did it again in 2014. But he was just really good about instilling confidence in people. I was a super quiet, introverted kid that just focused on school pretty much up to that point in his life. I was just school, and that's the only thing I thought would help me in life, is just doing well in school. But Pedro just had such confidence when he was presenting. He just created a vision for our team, and he just instilled so much belief into me that I could do so much more. And I mean, I worked my tail off that summer. The whole team, that whole org, we had such an awesome org that summer, and I wasn't surprised that it was the #1 team, and a lot of top producers came out of that one org that summer in Mississippi.
Yeah, I remember I was still selling at the time, and I remember like thinking, man, like these guys are crushing it. This is insane. It was pretty sweet. For you, yeah. I guess, what would you say was the thing that he did that really inspired you? I mean, like what did he tell you about yourself that like kind of helped you find that gear?
I think before the summer ever started, is he really focused on, Willie, what is this summer about for you? And I knew I could work hard. I consider myself to be relatively smart. And, I thought, if I can do school and I can work hard at these things, then, I can go out into the summer and have a good summer. But I think he did a really good job of digging deeper, of not just like, all right, stopping at the summer, but like for the rest of your life, why does this summer matter? And, all summer long, it's when I didn't want to keep working, or when there was a lot of rejection or a tough day. It's just kind of going back to the why. We hear so much about the why. He basically drilled my why over and over and over and over and over again. And I think our whole team had a really good idea of why we were actually out there, versus like, yeah, we're just here to make some money, sell some books, and get out of here. It's like, no, we're here to become better people. And it's not just going to stop once the summer's over. It's like, we're going to be better people for years to come because of the work we're doing today. So he was just really good on harping on the why and helping you believe in yourself, and then pushing you, throughout the summer. I was very fortunate. We also had great OLs, because Pedro became a dad that summer. His first son was born, so he was off the field, but our OLs did a really good job of kind of continuing that throughout the summer with all the student leaders in the first years.
Right. Wow. Well, man, what a privilege. I mean, I obviously Pedro's such a good person. That's what we want to get up on the show eventually is Pedro Vega, because his leadership skills seem to be pretty rock solid. So talk to me about how that summer went. How was that experience for you? Because when was it that you got recruited? Was it in the spring, or was it more in the fall?
I got recruited like Thanksgiving, so I guess the fall before. So a good time to prepare.
Yeah, you had a lot of time.
Yeah, it was a great summer. If I'm being honest, I felt like I was failing the whole time, because there were just so many top producers, so many rookies that were crushing it. I ended up being like number 20 or something that summer, but literally the whole summer I felt like I suck. But that just speaks to the caliber of the organization that we had. It was like 12 top first years and a ton of student leaders in that org. But it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself and a lot about people that summer.
Yeah. And you were in Mississippi?
Yeah, good old Jones County, Mississippi.
So as a Salvadorian, did you ever run into people in Mississippi who were like, no, we don't like your kind, anything like that?
It was such a culture shock. I grew up in a completely Hispanic area, and it was like basically the first time I'd seen a black person, or more than one black person for in a day. It was crazy. Working in Mississippi blew my mind. It was a square county, and there was a highway through it, and I could not believe what was happening. The bottom half of the summer, which I worked first, was all Caucasian, basically all Caucasian. You go to the other side of the highway, and it was all African American. It just like blew my mind what was happening. I wasn't used to that, dude. But it was good perspective on life and what other places of the country look like versus just my little Hispanic bubble in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. My first summer, I was sold in a really poor county, in a really poor town of that county in New York. I don't know. Everybody claims that it's the poorest. I don't know that it was or not, but it was poor either way. And I remember at the end of the summer, I'm like, if I see a double wide, they got money,
Right.
Because you're like, that's the nicest house in town. You're looking for the double wides. Got back to Nebraska, and I'm seeing these bigger houses of like where I'm living, in Lincoln.
Yeah.
And there's people with money in Lincoln, and I go drive by some of these neighborhoods, and you're like, whoa, these houses are huge. Like I forgot how big houses could be.
You're just like mind blown. It's like everybody's rich.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. So that's definitely a culture shock when you go into your first summer. But you crush it. Top 20s, dude. That's pretty good. That's out of hundreds, if not thousands, of people. That's pretty solid. That's hard work. So what made you want to come back? Like how at what point was it that they got you? You're coming with us for 7 summers.
I almost didn't come back after my second summer, honestly. But I talked to good people. But the reason I came back for a second summer is I just saw how much I grew just from that first summer. I just had a newfound confidence in myself and what was actually possible for my life versus just, be a smart kid, go graduate and just go find the first job that finds you. Because the way, like when I get to talk to first years that are kind of on the fence or just want to decide whether the summer's a good idea for them or not, it's like what the summer does is you're an onion, and it just peels layers and layers and layers and layers off of you. Some of them are good, and some of them are not so good. Like one of the things that I, going into my first summer, I thought I was always pretty integrous, pretty honest. And when it got to like 9 o'clock, pitch black, you know, there was part of me that wanted to write 9:31, but I only worked to 9. And then it's like realizing it's like, all right, man, you're not as integrous and all those things as you thought you were. So there was just so many other areas of my life that I knew I needed to continue working on that I couldn't just do in one summer, you know? So that's why I came back.
You. It like exposed
yeah, they exposed me. It's like, man, you got a lot of weaknesses, Willie. Gotta work on them, you know?
Come on, Willie, get better.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, get better.
So how did you overcome that? Like, what did you decide to do at that point? Like when you're like, should I lie about my stats or should I?
Yeah, the first couple of weeks, I won't. I've told this story a couple of times. I would work till 9:31, but I would knock on doors that I knew wouldn't open, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like, there's an empty house out there. It's a house. It's the door. Let me go knock on it. 9:31. Right. 9:31. Technically, nobody say I can't do. But you know how much integrity is in that? Yeah. Not very much. And those were the screws I needed to tighten up. That I learned just from the first couple of weeks on the book field. And I got better as the summer went on, but you know, there was a lot more to work on.
Yeah, mad respect. My third summer I lied about my stats. Oh yeah, I'd say I'd work the whole day, but didn't work the half the day. Like my third summer I was way off schedule. Mm-hmm. And
tough, yeah.
it was hard. It was a really hard place to be. And actually it really impacted me for a while until I kind of figured myself out. But yeah, for sure. I get that feeling of like, whew, like this is some gray area of my morals or my values. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Damn, dude. And so then did you recruit right away? What was that experience like then coming back, and talk to me a little bit about the summers after?
Yeah. Going into my second summer, I did some recruited some of my good friends and stuff like that. And they all bailed on me before the summer actually started. But you know, doing that did help me learn and grow a little bit. Definitely could have done more on the recruiting side. I feel like in my Southwestern career, that was probably the thing that I could have done more of, is the recruiting part. Because I love the selling part. Like after my third summer and I actually started figuring things out, I loved knocking on doors. There was so much peace, and the book was just such a fun place when you learn to do it right. Mm-hmm. But the recruiting part, I'm not going to say that I know what I'm talking about, because that is not an area of expertise for me. But I did recruit a little bit, but they all, you know, flaked on me at the last minute. Went to California my second summer with before the Mexican Army was the Mexican Army. We went out to San Diego and got crushed, but we had fun on Sunday meetings at least, so it was good. Damn, or did you ever sell out west?
Dude, no. I only sold in New England. I sold New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, a little bit in Rhode Island. Yeah, that whole Pennsylvania, even a little bit into New Jersey. Yeah, that whole area that's up that way. That was and it was great because the weather, it never really got too hot. Like it was only a couple days in July where I was like, this sucks, but it was like 100 maybe, or like 98. But the rest of the time it was actually pretty nice, because you're like maybe like in the 80s, but it's like, it's not very humid. It's nice. The weather up there is perfect to go sailing. The people are generally pretty nice. I got lucky.
Really?
Like people say that turf doesn't matter, but turf matters, and that turf is pretty nice.
Yeah. Turf makes a difference for sure.
I wish they would just accept that. You know what I mean? Because they're always like, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, dude. Yeah, it does. You wouldn't sell some turfs.
Anybody can be successful in any turf. The way you work that turf definitely matters. You can't work all turf the same. It just.
Yeah, and you got to know. True. You got to know how to to do it. You got to know, like, it doesn't matter if you know how to work that turf. If you know how to work break, if you know how to work like really residential, if you know how to work country, if you know how to work like low income, high income, different minorities. You got to know your shtick, right? You know your thing. And if you're able to figure that out, then the turf doesn't matter. But there's a reason that what was that guy, Timmel, or was a guy that was like crushing it like every summer this last few summers. He's the
Emil.
Emil. Yeah. You know what he did? He would sell. I got confirmed this, not by him, but I've heard that this is what he did. But I trust the source. Is that he would sell and then he would come back and sell like over himself, the edge, and then continue. and then come back.
Yeah, he's in the same turf. Yeah.
He goes back to the same turf. So if turf didn't matter, he could literally go anywhere and do the same thing. But no, of course turf matters. You know
He's
what I'm
working
saying?
it tight, that's for sure.
And
He's
he's
working it tight.
good, man, and everybody knows him.
He's
He goes
good.
back, and people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, you're the same guy from last year." Yeah, yeah. We talk, you know, he's got names.
Like,
Names
yeah.
that still work.
The whole town, like everybody, bought like it's your turn. Sit down.
He knows all the teachers. You know what I mean? Everything. Right?
They all bought it already. So
Mm-hmm.
what are they gonna say? It's like it's required in their school district, basically.
Yeah, at that point, they might as well just like pay him a salary for helping the education. Like he sold more books than anybody else. Like, who was that?
Yeah.
Was that Tom? Was that Ron Alford in the advanced sales? He's like, I'm selling you the smartest in the whole country. Oh, no,
Oh yeah.
it was Dave Rosen, and he's like,
No. Yeah, it was one of them.
this is the
I
most
know what you're talking
educated
about. I know what
part in the world.
statistically, it's true.
Statistically, because there's the most books here.
Yeah.
So good, and it's in Washington. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. So then how? So that was your Southwestern career, pretty solid. I mean, 7 summers, top first year, you crushed it. So then how did you transition? Talk to us about like how did you leave and kind of how did you decide it was time to go, and then kind of how you ended up where
Yeah.
we are here.
Yeah. So sold. I think there's 2 phases to my Southwestern career. I think there's the first 3 summers where I didn't really know what I was doing and I was pretty selfish. And then the 4 summers where I had an opportunity to be an OL and I learned to get over myself and realize that
Ooh.
I'm the least important part of the summer and I'm just there to add value and contribute to people's lives. And there's a lot of people that kind of helped me learn that lesson. There's, like Virgie, Sean, just so many first year, so many student leaders that contributed to that. So I don't want to, I really did want to talk about that a little bit. It's just,
Yeah.
I think the biggest lesson that I learned from my Southwestern career was when you focus on yourself and when you're so focused on what you're getting and making the summer, the sales, the interactions all about you, the summer is not a very fun experience. It is a terrible job, just awful, because you're just constantly, you're just in your head about yourself and what you have and don't have. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to become an OL, which I would go back and be an OL. You don't have to pay me anything. I'll go do that right now. I almost went back this summer, honestly, because I loved it so much. Just
Careful,
being
I
able to
hear
contribute to I did. I actually went back for a week to follow B contracts this past summer in Florida. So it was a lot of fun. But I think, once I finally got over myself and realized it's like, hey, the day is not about you. The day is about how you can contribute to Miss Jones. The day is not about you. The day is about how you can contribute to Mr. Jones, Billy, Sally, every single person that you interact with. And you're not working for yourself anymore. You're working for your student leaders. You're working for your first years. You're working for all the different people back home. That's when the job just became completely peaceful and fun and exciting. And that's why I loved the selling part so much, even though, it's a grind. But it can be so much fun when you're focused on other people. And leaving was honestly a pretty difficult decision. My 6th summer, I sat down with Virgie and I let her know that I would be a 7-summer bookman. And I remember I walked out of her office and I started crying like a little baby. It's like, just such an impactful, meaningful part of my life that, would soon be over. But I knew it was time to step away because, like I said, I'd never been really good at the recruiting part. And financially, it just wouldn't be feasible for me to keep doing it when, I didn't have a base. So if I could go back and do it again, I wish I had learned to not focus on myself in the recruiting part, because if I'm honest, I never figured that out. I was too in my head about my team and me. I never figured it out on the recruiting side. But after the 6th summer of Virgie, in Dynasty, we have a 2-year commitment. If you're going to be an OL, you've got to come back at least the following year to support another OL. So I had the opportunity to work with Miss Victoria Hartman. My last summer was in Arkansas. Had a great summer, great experience out there. And leaving was definitely not easy. Why I'm probably still pretty involved now with, so many student leaders and just trying to stay as plugged in, even though I'm not in that world anymore, right? But once I came off the book field, I tried my hand at commercial real estate for a little bit. I had the opportunity to train, new salespeople, kind of like junior agents at a commercial real estate company. And that was great. Honestly, I enjoyed that part of the job, the teaching aspect of the job that God was, gracious enough to give me. I wish I had done it differently, because, it's like in one of the Southwestern principles that you can't teach what you don't know, you can't lead where you won't go. Like, even though I'd done sales for so long, I had never done real estate, much less commercial real estate to begin with. And then I was put in charge of a sales team that does real estate. Well, at some point that caught up with me that I didn't know real estate, right?
Right.
So I actually decided to step down because I knew that I wasn't helping my team as much as I could, just because I didn't have the background in real estate to really be able to help them pass the sales principles and those kind of things. So if I'm honest, I'm kind of in a transition stage where I'm still kind of trying to figure out what it is I'm going to do long term.
Do stand-up comedy.
Yeah. Didn't you do that for a little bit, or who was that? You and Q did that, right?
Yeah, I'm still doing it. We just COVID kind of killed it for a little bit. But yeah, it's fun, dude. That if I was born to do anything in my life, it'd be to do stand-up. That's my favorite thing in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Dude,
how long have you been doing it?
February 1st of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So
somebody just dare you like, hey man, you're funny, go up there and try it out, or?
No, it was actually Q called me. Q was living in Chicago, and he told me we found out one of the reasons we got tight was because we found out that we liked stand-up, like to watch it.
Yeah.
And I told him, oh, someday I want to do that. Then he was in Second City. He did Second City for a while, and then he told me, if I'm ever in the same city as you, you'll be we'll team up, and then we can do comedy together and like keep each other accountable. And I was like, deal. But he's living in Chicago, so I'm like, he ain't gonna do it. And he calls me and he's like, hey, remember when you said that a couple years ago? And I was like, yeah, why? Because I just moved to Omaha a week ago. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's close enough to Lincoln. All right, I'm in. And then within a week, I had to have my first set. Yeah, I had to have 5 minutes written in a week. Yeah. And I got up there, dude, and it was incredible. It was better than any drug I've ever experienced.
Really?
I've never done that many drugs, but I'm just saying. I imagine that's what drugs. I imagine that's what some sort of heroin feels like to people. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, it was addicting. Yeah, I was expecting to bomb. I was expecting to crash and bomb, because that's what they tell you. It's like, hey, your first time, and it was a pretty full crowd. I still have the video. It's on YouTube somewhere. And yeah, and you could barely hear it. It's like terrible sound, terrible video quality, but people laughed. People laughed at me for 5 minutes, and I was like, because it was pitch black. You couldn't really see the crowd because the lights were so bright. So I just said my jokes, and then I just would hear the laughter, and I'm like, dude, I could do this. It was amazing. It was
it's working.
It was so amazing. It was euphoric, and then we kept working. Yeah, but we ended up splitting up like the Beatles, and then we kind of. I mean, we're not like a fallout. We just split
that was the drill thing.
And
you still remember any of those jokes?
Oh yeah. I did. I mean, I've been doing jokes since COVID, because Nebraska opened up for a little bit. And then I moved to Portland, and I haven't gone out to the scene yet. I've been busy doing stuff and trying to settle into the city. But now that I'm kind of establishing myself here, feeling my way around, I recently I started looking up mics and stuff. So yeah, I'm willing to get back into it. It's kind of tough right now with COVID right now too, especially here. Yeah, they're a little bit more progressive, more left, and so there's more regulations and stuff where so the mics might not be happening as well. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, you should try stand up, or you should try. You're doing this. It's running. I want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I've been doing a lot of running.
Yeah, dude, you're running more than Forrest Gump. Dude, this is crazy. Okay, so I got to read this because this is wild, and I wanted to ask you a lot of questions about this. So in the last year and a half, so in the last 18 months, so basically since COVID started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, slightly before
COVID started, you have ran 7 half marathons, 9 marathons, 12 50K ultra marathons. That's 30 miles.
31.
31 miles, and 5 50-mile ultra marathons.
Yep, and failed at 2 100-mile marathons.
Failed at 2 and went home early.
I went home early. Body gave out. Gonna try again in October. See if we can make it this time.
All right. So, what the fuck, dude? Like,
yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's so crazy. How did you get into this? What happened? Tell me how you stumbled your way into 50 miles of running 5 times.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I hated running. 2 years ago, I thought, like I mentioned earlier, I thought it was the silliest sport ever, and it's not a real sport anyway, kind of mentality. But I think the reason I started was I kind of hit a point in my life where I kind of felt complacent, and I felt like I wasn't doing as well that I could be doing or living up to my potential. I honestly felt like I was failing in pretty much every area of my life that you can think of. And I had the opportunity to just read or listen to actually this book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and it just talks about his crazy story that he goes through, transformation from a 300-pound guy to a Navy SEAL doing ultras. And I don't know, the thought of in my mind was, all right, why not me? And I honestly just needed something to kick my butt and shape me into a better man. And just running and working out kind of started becoming that pathway. Just like the summer forges you into a better person, if you use it correctly. That's what I started doing with running and with working out and taking care of myself. But it hasn't been easy, and a lot of times I don't want to do it. But just like in the summer, when you have a really good why on why you're doing it, it makes it a lot easier to get through those moments where you don't want to do it, or where you don't see the value, or you don't see the importance of it. And I mean, if you had asked me 2 years ago if I ever saw myself running a 50 miler, it's like, no, you're crazy, dude. Like I would never be able to do that. But the body's capable of a lot more things than we give it credit for. And if you put it through the right training and the right conditioning, it can do a lot of crazy things.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have so many questions. So how, I didn't even know that it was possible, because it's not like you just practice for one of these 50 milers. I mean, like you ramped it up pretty quickly. I mean, I've trained for, I didn't complete it. I've trained for a marathon. I owe Danny a marathon, but I trained for a marathon, and I did the 20 miler. It ended up getting canceled, so it's not like I gave up on it. It just didn't happen, and then I haven't re-registered for it since. But anyway, like I did that 20 mile, like that you do before. That's like, it's like the longest run you do before the actual thing.
Yeah.
And it was miserable. Like, it was not fun. I don't like running, or I guess I'm learning to love running. It's probably the most positive way I can say that. And I remember thinking, like, how do people do these 50 milers? And it took me 6 months to get to that point to even feel, and it was still like I wasn't comfortable doing 20. So to do this in 18 months, like, what was that training regimen like? When did you run? How did you find time to do it? Like, what was that schedule like? What did you do?
I think it's just like the benefit of, after you do something for so much time, it just compounds and you get better. Like a I don't know what you call it, like a bell curve or whatever. Like, it sucks in the beginning, and then you just get better and better the more you do it. Honestly, that's what I attribute it to, because the first marathon I ever ran took me almost 9 hours. That's terrible. Absolutely terrible time. 9 hours, right? My first trail marathon, that's what it took. So, and I felt like death after that race. And to think, even just considering a 50K, which is just 4 more miles, it was like, there's no way my body could possibly do that. But just showing up every single day to the gym, getting on the treadmill, running outside, whether I felt like it or not, having the accountability from friends, putting the systems in place where if I didn't work out, I owed people money. That's what I started doing. It's like, I got to make this painful for me at some point. It's like, if I don't run, I'm going to owe somebody money, and they're going to send me a Venmo request, and I got to pay them if I don't run. And that's I just making it painful and putting the right systems in place to help me do the work that it was going to take to actually, you know, be able to complete one, I think is what helped me. But once I was actually on the field, I think I got addicted to hitting the wall. It's like, you know, Dan Moore talks about Mr. M. I got addicted to Mr. M saying, you can't do this. This is where you stop. And just being able to say, watch this. No, this is not where I stop. And that's where, before the race, I would decide what the race was about. It's like, all right, this race, you know, this is why I'm going to be a great father. This is why I'm going to be a great leader. This is why I'm going to be a great husband. This is why I'm going to be a business owner, a great business owner. And it's like when mile 40 hits and I feel like my body's just going to fall apart and I'm going to, you know, pass out. It's like, all right, hi, Mr. M. Nice to see you again. And then it's like, that's when I just start self-talking and saying all those things. This literally out there on the trail, screaming my head off. This is why I'm going to be a great leader. This is why I'm going to be a great man. This is why I'm going to be a great father. This is why I'm going to be a great husband. It's like, I still remember the first time I completed my first 50. I was out in the canyons in West Texas, I think, close to Del Rio. And I'm just out there on the canyon, screaming my head off, screaming those things, and got me through it because mile 40 hit and I felt like death. It just awful. Your body shuts down and you just tense up and it's like you feel like you can't do anything else, but you can't stop. So,
well, dude, what the hell? So what order did these happen in? So like, did you just start with half marathons and then like did you graduate to each one, or did you go like screw it, I'm going straight to marathons, or like how did
no? I definitely had a gradual ramp up, and then once I had done enough marathons and enough 50Ks and enough 50s, I basically do these every weekend if I can. So it's like my body's used to it. And a lot of people that want to get into it now, but it's like, you got to start slow. You can't kill yourself trying to run a 50 miler on your first go. Some people can do it. And if you can, you're a better man than I am and better man than a lot of people probably out there. But you got to, I would say, knock out a 5K, knock out a 10K, knock out a half, knock out a couple marathons, knock out a 50K, and then try out for the 50 miler. And I've been chasing a 100 miler for, you know, almost 2 years going on now, and I haven't been able to do it. So it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But that's part of the process. It's part of the reason I love it, because it's not easy.
So how do you train for running a marathon every weekend or whatever? Like these long, how do you train for that? Like, cause if you're running like a half marathon, there's like days where you have to run 6 miles or something like that, 8 miles. And that takes time of your day.
Yeah.
Like where do you find this time, or how do you do this?
Well, when I was super hyper focused, my normal wake up time would be 4, and, you know, knock out 10, 12 miles and then go get a good lift in, get breakfast in, and then, you know, carry on with the rest of my day. But that's not sustainable. I think it was David Rosen on y'all's podcast. It's like, you know, in the summer, you're super hyper focused on your schedule, a super intense schedule, but you couldn't do it for, you know, a whole year because it's just not sustainable. Same thing with, you know, intense training for ultras. You know, I do it in phases where for a month and a half, I'm super locked in on getting up every single day, 4 a.m., knocking out my 5, 10, 15 miles, whatever it is for that day, getting a lift in. And then, you know, going out that Saturday, hitting the trail for the long run, which is either 30 or 50 miles, whatever it might be. But it's not sustainable. And I learned that the hard way. I got burned out. And it took the toll on my body, and, you know, it took me going through that experience to actually figure out to where making it a little bit more sustainable. But there was a point where I would literally just run a race the weekend, take the whole week off to rest, run the next weekend, rest the whole week, run the next race the next weekend, rest. And that was a little bit easier for the body to handle, just not pushing it during the week. But
because within a week
it's
you
just
don't
different.
lose that.
You gotta listen to your body.
Yeah, within a week you wouldn't lose that.
No.
I mean, if you're just used to running a half marathon or a marathon every weekend, then it just sustains that capacity for a week. You couldn't go probably more than a month.
Once you built up the foundation.
Right.
Yeah, can't do that.
Damn, dude. Okay, so talk to me about this.
You should try it, man. You still. Let me go back. You said you owe Danny a marathon.
Yeah.
So one of the things one of my favorite parts about running has been running in different places with new people and helping them finish their races, whether it's a half, a 5K, 10K. So before this podcast is over, Mr. Andrade, you're gonna commit to running a marathon with me. So hope you're ready for that. But
Yeah,
go ahead, next
but
question.
we'll run it in Nebraska since it's flatter.
Okay, that's fair.
I will, because there's
Never
mountains
been to
here.
Nebraska actually.
There you go. There's mountains here, and fuck that. um, no, yeah, and I think we're lagging a little bit, but that's okay. The 100 races you tried two,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna talk about these. Here's, since I'm committing to a marathon
Yeah.
at the end of this. I'm just putting it in the universe that this is gonna happen, since it's the third time, right? You're gonna go for it in October, so you're gonna hit it.
October 23rd, Bandera, Texas.
So I'm gonna have you on back in November. We're gonna talk about how that
Okay.
went, because you hit it.
All right.
But we're gonna expel
Good.
the juju here. So tell me about what happened, what you learned the first two, because that failure has probably taught you a lot.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about the first time you failed, and like what you learned, and what how far did you get? What was it like mentally, physically?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So, I think that it came down to one thing: lack of preparation and anticipation of what the race was actually going to be like. Because one of the reasons I love trail racing is no two races are ever the same. Because, typical marathon, it's run on concrete, you're running on the street, and there might be some incline, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of that world. But trail racing, one race will be in a desert, the next one is on a flat dirt road, the next one you're climbing a mountain for 50 miles, the next one it's like you're running on sand. They're all different. And the mistake I made, because I was still pretty new and I was just excited about running, I just signed myself up for the first hundreds that I could find. And the ones I picked were mountains.
Oh,
so Fort Davis, Texas, out going, I guess, kind of close to El Paso. I only made it 40, 43, 42 miles, because half the race you're just climbing a mountain, and 100 miles climbing versus 100 miles flat are two completely different things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've been to Houston, but there's not much elevation to train on. It's just flat. It's just flat. The only trails are just little dirt trails at Memorial Park. That's the only kind of trail. You have to drive further to find anything with an incline, anything. So all I had was basically a treadmill and flat dirt roads to train on. And I signed myself up for 100 in mountains. So that was just total lack of awareness on, hey, you should probably look at the course, and can you actually prepare for that course? And you should probably find something easier to start with. So it didn't feel good. I had a lot of people come and support, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, if I'm being honest, to do it, to finish. But I just got to a point, my good friend Mason, he was with me, and my body just wouldn't let me go. I just kept sitting down, and after a certain point, I just had to swallow my pride and go, this is it. I'm gonna have to try it again. And it didn't feel good, but that was the right decision. I would have probably killed myself, or really injured myself, at least, had I tried to keep going when I hadn't prepared for it properly. So
jeez,
this time it's I looked at the course. It's not too crazy. It's not mountains. It's hill country, but I should be ready for it. I've been running on a lot of mountains to get me ready for it.
The second time, how'd that go? That second time?
Well, the second time it got canceled, so I didn't get very far at all.
Oh, 0 miles. God, didn't even start.
0 miles.
God.
Yeah.
You're going the wrong way, bro. You're supposed to get 58.
Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Get further. Yeah.
You went to 0.
So.
Now, so you got that out of the way. So now you can look at that. Dude, that's wild. So how do you, like, in your mind, how do you think that the things that you learn with Southwestern are helping you with this running? Like, what would you say, like, has been obviously schedule, with the way that you've been running, but what would you say has been the most influential to help you out with that?
Schedule, and just setting a really good why. You know, as a first year, that's the biggest thing I can remember. Just like I said, Pedro drilling and drilling and drilling and
Yeah.
drilling. Like, what's your why? Why the hell are you doing this? You know, if you're going out for the summer just for money, at some point you're not going to care about the money. You're not going to care about your resume. You're not going to care about any of that. It's like, what's your actual why? Like, what's going to tug at your heart? What's going to make you cry? What's going to make you go when you feel like you can't go? Um, I think I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken from Southwestern to kind of plug into running is the why. Like, why am I running every single race? Like, there's races where it's about, all right, this race is about getting closer to God. So because of this race, because of what I'm about to go through, I'm gonna form a closer relationship with God. And it's like the next race. All right, well, this race is about my future kids who I don't know yet, but one day they're gonna need a really strong father that loves them, cares for them, provides for them. And this race is about my kids. Just like I wouldn't give up on my kids, I'm not giving up on this race. And just every single race setting intentions, and sometimes a lot of intentions. Race one time, some races just one intention, but just having a really good why versus just running a ton of miles, which sounds cool, but I don't think I would keep doing it if I didn't set a good why, a long-term wise. Because I don't see myself ever giving up the sport. It's crazy to go out there and see like 70-year-olds kicking my butt because they've been doing it for so long and they're better runners. Yeah, this is an old man sport. It's like the young guys don't win at these things. It's all the old guys.
What?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Hold on. Teach me about this. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine this. You're telling me that the people that are winning the ultra marathons, like the 50, 100 milers, are old people?
Yeah. They're usually 40 or 50.
No
it's like,
way.
I'm usually the youngest guy to place as far as like highest placement, but I'm not even in the same category as some of the old guys.
That's wild.
It's insane.
So like let's talk about what's been like the toughest moment. I mean, I'm assuming like the 100-mile like uphill battle was probably one of them, but like what was like the hardest moment that you've had, and then what was like the most proud, fulfilling like moment that you've had in running? I mean, obviously I can assume that doing the 50 was pretty euphoric, but like tell us about those like fantastic moments as well.
Yeah. I think the runner's high is a real thing, and somebody that says it's not, they're lying to you. If you do it enough, you'll find the runner's high. And it was early this year on my birthday, or a day before my birthday. I went out to Arizona. I think it was called Cave Creek or something. I don't remember the exact area, but it was in mountains, and it was my first 55 or 52 mile. It was my longest distance up to that point. And I remember just being terrified, just about like, this is the longest race. I didn't feel all that great that morning. I had to Uber to the freaking location, and the only breakfast I had was Waffle House. So it's like, all right, we're not off to a great start here. But I remember it was like mile 45, and I felt like I had just started. Like my body was just humming. I was like, felt like I'm this high on like, what is going on right now? It's like, I'm not even tired. Like I remember a couple of people called me on my run, and I usually have my phone on me, so I answered it, and they're like, hey man, they're kind of worried, like, hey man, how's it going? Are you okay? And I'm just happy, like flying down the mountain, excited that I've only got 7 miles left. And it was hard. Like, it's hard to describe the feeling when you should be just dead and just absolutely torched from what you've been doing, but you're just on like cloud 9, feeling like you haven't done anything and you're just getting started. So that was an incredible feeling. So I think that moment kind of cemented my addiction to ultra running. Just feeling that high, mile 40 something, and when I should be tired. And as far as the toughest, it's honestly been a couple 50Ks. It's the 31 milers. I was in Arizona like 4 weeks ago, and it was a night run. It wasn't even that tough of a course, but mile 25, I wanted to tap out. My body was just, this is it. And a bunch of old guys passed me, and that really kind of took a hit to my ego, and I just didn't feel very good. But I'm glad that I stuck through it. I finished it out. Had to definitely walk a lot in that one. And that was one that I definitely had to use a lot of my whys to get through, because mile 25, it's like nobody's going to hold it against you if you turn around and quit. And I mean, I was just out there by myself. It's not like there wasn't even any of my friends that went out there with me, but that was pretty tough. And then 2 weeks ago, I was actually in New Mexico for another one in Cloudcroft, New Mexico. It's on a mountain. And mile 20, I wanted to tap out on that one just because it had been like 10 miles of straight incline and my legs were shot. And I literally just laid by a tree and took a 20-minute nap. Just took a 20-minute nap and got back up and finished the race. But I did not want to finish that race, dude. I literally wanted just to go back to the aid station and say, please get a car up here and take me back down. But it's like,
what?
You know, it's like ingrained in you. It's like one of those Bookfield moments where you just want to stop and you don't want to keep knocking. You just want the day to end. You want the week to be over. But it's like sometimes you just got to coach yourself up and get back out there, you know?
Damn.
So.
Damn, that's so cool, dude. Like that, I think that's so awesome. So you're trying to run this this attempt at this 100 coming up. What other big goals you have, or like what's like on a bucket list for you for this kind of thing? Tell me about like what's like the, you know, North Star here.
For running, there's a lot of really cool, difficult races. There's the Badwater 135. So that's 135 miles through Death Valley, mid-July, I think.
No.
So that is super hot, super crazy race, 135 miles through Death Valley. For my next birthday, want to do the Hurt 100. That's 100 miles through volcanoes in Hawaii. So that's a pretty crazy one. There's the Western States, which that's like the Super Bowl of ultra running. That one you've got to be really good. You got to be really good to get to that one. So that one might take me a couple of years to get to, but that's on the vision board. The Western States. There's a Last Desert Ultra, which is 100 miles in Antarctica. So that takes a whole another level of preparation. And there's just so many cool ones. There's some in Colorado, Leadville 100 miles through Colorado mountains, which is a whole nother beast, because elevation out there is different than elevation here, you know. But there's a lot of cool races, man. There's a lot of cool places to see. That's why I keep doing it, just to be able to see the beautiful world God's created.
Is there one in Colombia?
Yeah. No.
There's
probably, dude.
There's probably some hard ones.
There is. Where's the Amazon rainbow? Is that?
Well, it could be Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela. But yeah, we have some of it.
Okay. There's a rainforest ultra or Amazon ultra. It's 115 miles through the Amazon rainforest, and I'm sure there's some in Colombia. I'll find one.
Dude,
I'll come find you.
That's awesome. I mean, I'll call you. I mean, I won't do it with you, but I'll call you.
Hey, hold the sign.
Good job, dude. Keep going. Don't get bit by a snake or a spider or a...
Glad he didn't die.
Careful with the boa constrictors. They'll really trip
Were you born in Colombia?
Yeah.
Or where were you born?
Yeah, Danny and I were both born down there in Bogota.
Bogota, Colombia.
Yeah, that's right. We moved here because we were going to get murdered. That's what the book is about.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I wrote it about. It's about our story moving here. I wanted to have my parents remembered. Because it was crazy.
Yeah.
What they did, like what immigrant parents do, it's pretty wild. Were you born in Salvador?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. How old are you when you came here?
3.
Oh, so you were a tiny little baby. Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah. Were you older?
I was 7. So not too much older. But like, I mean, I was old enough to remember stuff in Colombia. Like, I remember a lot of Colombia, yeah. Yeah. Dude, what a story. And you moved straight to Texas then?
Yeah, the Dallas area.
Damn.
Yes, sir. You ever been to Texas much?
Yeah, I've been to Texas a couple times. I've been through Dallas a couple times. Austin's the shit.
Really?
Austin's so cool. When we went to Austin, and I actually went to the border to check out like the kids, like what was going on when the kids in the cages and stuff was going on. I went to go see with my own eyes. I was like, I want to go check out what's really happening because this is crazy. Yeah, it was wild.
Like South Texas or like El Paso direction?
Like Laredo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were down there, and it was. I mean, I saw the El Rio. the river.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy stuff that I saw down there.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't really get to see the kids. They were like being held up in like a warehouse, which is awful, so hot. But we got to meet people who had left that, and so there was like sometimes there was kids there that didn't know where their parents were, and sometimes there were parents there who didn't know where their kids were, and there was like this organization that was trying to help them connect with like and check. And I mean, it was a mess, dude. It's crazy stories. Yeah. And we went to, this is crazy what happened. I couldn't believe it. We went to the very border, right to the river. You could just see Mexico, and you could see the third world country. Like, you could see the poverty. I mean, there were shacks. That's what you could see. And you turn around and look at the state side that you're standing on. You turn from the riverbank, you turn around, and there's a freaking giant outlet mall. Nike, Gucci, Versace, Adidas, like all these brands, Ray-Ban. And I'm like, what in the world is going, because of a river? Because of a river.
Yeah.
So crazy. Sorry, that went like on a tangent, but yeah.
No, it's funny. I was actually in El Paso 2 weeks ago, and literally one side is like UTEP, again, nice, super nice area, just like you described, and then there's a wall, and then there's Mexico. So it's like, can you imagine growing up on that side, just looking at all these nice things your whole life, and like it's literally less than a mile, you know?
Yeah, you could kick a soccer ball across that river.
You could.
It would land in the States. That's how close you are. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It was wild. So you came. Okay, so man, so you're a fellow immigrant. All right. Yeah, man. Shoot me your address. I'll send you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read it. Let me know what you think. It's a lot of work that went into it. You should write a book about your running.
It's on the long-term vision board.
Dude, yes,
writing
sir.
a book. I don't know what it'll be about yet, but it'll be about something.
About this journey, dude. This is crazy. This is so cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm really this is like super impressive. I think anybody that can do that kind of thing where it's like that endurance for such a long time. Because how long is a 50-mile race? Like how long quickly did you complete that?
My worst time has been 12 hours. My best time has been 8 hours. So.
Holy shit balls, dude. What?
So, yeah.
You ran
the whole day event.
You ran a 50-mile race in a shorter span than your first marathon.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So that's a cool story. So after I failed at my 100-mile in the mountains, the very next week I had a 50-miler. But because I had gotten my butt kicked so much, the mountains actually helped me do well the next week in the 50-miler, and I hit a PR for my 50-miler that next week.
That was
flat,
that's
not
when you
mountain.
hit that 46 Euphoria?
No, that was another time. But this was a 50-miler in like March that I did, or April. So.
Oh, just only the 50. Ugh. Jeez, dude, come on, run. How many miles have you ran total then? That's 26. That's crazy. You ran over.
That's not including training.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, officially, right? Like, tracked miles. That's a lot more than most people run ever in their life. That's crazy.
Right.
That's so.
My Garmin says like 2,000 something. So.
No way. That's crazy. 2,000 miles you've ran. Yeah, you're Forrest Gump, man. That's like Forrest Gump level for sure. What was your quickest marathon time?
Trying to.
Like, what are marathons like to you now? Are they like
4:30?
That's crazy.
Well, marathons are I just do them for training. Like those are my long runs for my 50s and my 100Ks.
That's your practice.
So I was actually talking with another book guy named Jordan Chappell. He's a really good runner. He's who I aspire to be for shorter distances. He's insane when it comes to running. And he's gonna look who it is.
Hey.
I live with this guy. He found it.
What's up, Brifo? Brifo.
He's I'm trying to get to a sub 4 for a marathon, eventually a sub 3.5, but that's after I do the 100.
Oh, so that's on the vision board too. Damn, dude, that's crazy.
On the vision board. Yeah.
I can't. That's unfathomable for me. Like, I can't. I know, but I owe Danny a marathon, so we'll look for one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find my
well,
way to
come
Nebraska.
come
You ask
practice with
people.
me.
You ask people. They've ended up running, and you're gonna end up running too, brother. Believe
Well,
it.
okay, all right. Well, I think let's do a quick
He's like, I gotta go.
yeah, like, I don't know about this. This is crazy. That's crazy. No, man, it's it, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I play soccer. That's the kind of running I do. It's sprints involved. You know, that's what I
Yeah.
try, and it's I'm trying. I'm trying. I do need a I do need. This would be probably a good time to do it. I just had COVID recently, so
Uh,
it might be a good time to like a good time in my life to start trying to get back to health. It's just like training for.
yeah.
We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, here,
Just gotta decide.
tell me your the pony story. Let's switch gears and you said you had a couple or a few to
Yeah.
tell, like impactful stories or great stories or funny stories. So I want to give you as much. You can take as
Um.
long as you want with this. Sometimes people have done it in 10 minutes. Sean did it in 7, and then Brandon took like half an hour for his. So
Okay.
I always just let it go. But let me shoot me your favorites.
Okay. Like actually, like people buying a lot story. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Shoot me your.
I'll
That's your
tell you.
best pony.
I'll tell. Well, I'm gonna talk about ponies in like life lessons after this one, but
Yes.
I think like people buying like a lot story. The one that kind of comes to mind first is last summer in Arkansas. I was in this tiny little town, like blink and you miss it kind of tiny town, but there was a little subdivision, just a bunch of small little brick houses, and everybody on that street except for three houses bought. And there was this one house in particular that I got referred to at the very beginning of the subdivision. They're like, you got to go see Mrs. I don't even remember her name. We'll just say Stacy. You got to go see Miss Stacy or Miss Sherry or something. Now she's a grandma, but she loves her grandkids. So I worked the whole neighborhood pretty much, and then finally I get to the house. There's a big rooster statue in front of the house, and I knock on the house, and I asked for the lady. I asked for, we'll just say Miss Stacy. So it's like, and this lady opens the door, so I just assume, oh, you're Mrs. Stacy. Hey, Miss Stacy, did my normal approach, and turns out, unfortunately, Mrs. Stacy had passed away, right? And the lady that had opened the door, also an old lady, was actually her wife. So that was kind of a new one for me. An older lesbian couple. Like
Yeah.
I can't remember too many of those in my experience, because I always worked in the South and stuff like that. But
Yep.
she was super cool lady. And honestly, I was kind of just trying to get out at that point. I was like, okay, you're not who I thought you were, and I just got to go to the next house. But literally before I leave, I just happened to pull out the kid sample book, and I just give her a quick demo of the Explore and Learn. And I just like, hey, how'd that look? Do you have any grandkids that you think might enjoy some of those? And she got excited about them. So I was like, okay. So then I decided, okay, well, why don't we just sit right here? Okay. So then I actually went through the sit down, and I just remember going through the sit down, and she got an adventure library, so nothing too crazy. But the thing is she lived in Arkansas, but she had different sets of grandkids all over the country, like Nevada, Georgia, like
Oh,
literally
baby.
all over the place.
Oh,
Okay.
baby.
So so after I write up the first adventure library, I'm like, she's handing me a receipt for $500, whatever it is. And I don't know, I don't know, I guess God just said, hey, keep asking questions, Willie. And then it's like, well, is there any other sets of grandkids that you want to get books for? And she's like, well, yeah, I actually have another set in this state. And I was like, well, do you want to get them some too? I was like, yeah, go ahead, and I'll take another set. And I was like, okay, great. And she hands me another check for $400, $500. And I literally just keep asking, are there any more sets of grandkids? And she goes, yeah, there's another one in this state. And she's like, do you want to get another one for them too? I was like, yeah.
Oh
And
my
at some point, it's like, okay,
God.
well, we can ship it to them so that you don't get a bunch of books. Like, yeah, we'll just ship it to them. So she gets another set, or at least like almost a full set. And then I'm like, Willie, show her more books. She's buying the kids' books. Show her more books. So I pull out the FBL and I pull out the black books. Long story short, I think it was like 5 orders by that grandma to like all different sets of grandkids in like Nevada and like Georgia and Florida and all the different places she had grandkids. And she was such a cool grandma. She was literally just writing checks, just handing me checks, and I'm just writing orders. I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now, but it happened. I had a first year following me that day too, so they probably like, this doesn't happen typically, but it's a funny little story.
So did she buy the black books too?
She bought some. Yeah, she bought some. She didn't buy a whole ton of. I think she got like a core 4 for one of the older grandkids, I think, and then something else.
So for people who might be listening to this later on who don't know Southwestern, like what that means, that's what is that profit like? I mean, you probably.
Know.
I mean, that was. I mean, okay. So the kids' books are like
a lot of units in one house.
The kids' books are from 0 to like 5th grade, and then the black books are from like kindergarten through 12th grade, and then there's like other stuff. So you made I mean, that had to be. How many units was that?
Over 100 for sure. I mean, so, we'll say 100, 200.
Yeah, 200 units. So you take that times 7.
Range.
You take that times $7, and that's what you made. So that's what, $1,400 you made there.
Whoa! And one fit. She was cool.
Crazy.
It was cool.
Crazy. Damn.
She drove a Jeep. She drove a blue Jeep, and I love Jeeps, so I knew she was cool.
Yeah. Of course. Everybody knows. Everybody with blue Jeeps buys.
Yeah. Everybody with blue Jeeps buys. Everybody with roosters in their front yard buys. Everybody knows that.
Tammys always buy for me. I never had a Tammy that I didn't sell. For real. Every time I met a Tammy, it became a thing between me and my buddy Manny, who I think I'm trying to get on the podcast for this weekend. But he, man, it was like Tammy's always buy. Like people would be like, "Hey, what's your name?" Tammy. Great.
Great. Perfect.
You're gonna buy. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
You're a buyer.
Good pony story. That's a good pony story.
Yeah.
What else you got?
So as far as like just life principles that I really took away from Southwestern, I remember for 3 summers I was mortified of early knocking, late night knocking, and just a couple of different aspects. And I remember my 4th summer, I just decided that everything that scared me, I would run straight at it, like all summer long. So early knocking scared me, so I started at like 7 every single day, which I don't recommend. You gotta learn how to do it. Yeah. You'll get yourself in some trouble if you don't know how to do it right. But pretty much all summer before 7:30, and same thing with late night knocking. I was afraid to knock late, so it's like, all right, we're knocking late every single day. And the thing that I took away from that is if you're afraid of something, just go do that thing over and over and over and over and over again. And before you know it, that fear that you had, it just becomes your new norm. It's like, it doesn't even faze you anymore. Like that just becomes your new reality. So I think that was I think that summer, I think I hit another level in not just my production, but just as a human being, where I stopped letting those 2 specific things of working early, working late, even things like Big Brick. I was super mortified of Big Brick because of my 2nd summer working rich beach stuff in San Diego. So it took some time to muster up the courage to get back into it, And being an OL, I think I said it earlier, was my favorite job. Favorite job I've ever had in my entire life, being an organizational leader. You have 100-hour weeks, but I absolutely loved it because I know sometimes it can be taken as I'm the OL, I'm the guy with the big title here. And I think that's the wrong way to be an organizational leader. I think that's the wrong way to be a leader in general. I think that it really grew in my leadership when I saw it. It's like, all right, I'm the OL, which means I'm the one that's here to serve the most. I am the least important individual. I'm important, but I'm the least important individual as far as like what I want and my needs in the summer. It's like, how can I add as much value to my student leaders so that they can add as much value to our first years, so that they can go and add as much value as possible to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And if I'm selfish, if I'm focusing on myself and what I'm getting or what I'm not getting, the org is not going to do very well. So I think that principle of just learning to take the focus off yourself and just constantly thinking about, all right, how can I add value to this person? How can I encourage this person? How can I stretch this person? How can I give more belief to this person? And just waking up every single day on the book field. Like, this is not about me, God. This is about all the different people that I get to impact. It's about all the value that I get to add. And eventually, all the things that I want, they'll be a byproduct of me adding value to other people. And I don't think that just applies to the book field, but I think that applies to life in general. And, you know, I fall back into it sometimes where I'm a little bit too focused on me. And it's like, all right, well, you got to step back. It's like, all right, who can we go add value to right now? Who can we pour into? Who can we challenge? And not focus on what we have and don't have. So I'm really grateful for Southwestern, and I'm very grateful for all the people that helped me learn that lesson, because I wouldn't be the same person without the 7 summers that I went through. I'm very grateful for it. So.
Man, that's such a cool lesson to learn. I like that. Idea of doing something that you're scared of. That's definitely. I think if more people did that in general, I think the world would be a better place. And right. It's like just learning to deal with your fears. There are so many people I feel in my life even that you hear about, hey, I want to do this someday, or I have these goals, but I'm scared. Like, you can tell it's just because they're scared, and it's like, dude, do it scared. It's fine. It's great. It's really not. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems, right? Or as good as it seems sometimes even. That's true. But it's doing it scared, man. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt. I probably is already on a t-shirt. Yeah. I should wear that t-shirt all day. I should wear, like, that should be our thing. Do it scared. Hell yeah, man. Well, shit, dude. That is some good stuff. I appreciate. Unless do you got more stories, or was that all you wanted to share there? If you got more, we got time for one more. Otherwise, we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
Whatever. Either way is okay with me.
I think another valuable. I'm gonna try to piece this together, and hopefully it comes out well. If it doesn't, well, we can edit it out. I don't know. But anyway,
that's fine. Dude, this is just
another. This free ball here, right? I think another valuable just life leadership principle that being on the book field taught me is, if somebody knows you care about them, they'll go to war for you, right? Like, if you just tell somebody what to do, like, this is what you need to do because I said so, like, that might be able to go for a little bit, and might actually listen to you for a short duration. But if you want to really be able to touch somebody's heart and make a difference in somebody's life, if they know that you genuinely care about them, their well-being, and you want to see them succeed, that gives you more freedom to say whatever the hell you need to say, even if it's sometimes something that they might not want to hear, but something that they need to hear. And one, they'll respect you more for it, and they're more likely to actually follow through with what you're asking them to do. I think that was a total shift in leadership that I probably wouldn't have learned had I not done as many summers. My idea of leadership before I sold books was like, okay, the guy with the highest title, that's the head honcho. But you don't need a title to be the leader. If people know you care about them, people know you have nothing but their best intentions, their success at heart, man, they will do above and beyond what you would expect just coming from somebody with the title. Because, if people know you care, that's when you can really start making an impact on somebody's life and holding them to a higher standard. So I'm grateful I had a chance to fail at that and then learn how to do it correctly to be a more effective father, be a more effective husband, more effective leader in the future, because I know that's not something that's just going to stop at summer number 7.
That's right.
So that's another little pony that I picked up.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool. Wow. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your 100-mile race here. You're gonna hit it. I know you are. So we'll have you back. October 23rd is when you do it.
Yep. And if I come up short there, I'm gonna go find another one. So we're gonna do this.
No, you won't. You got this. I could tell it.
Right.
I could tell. And I'll call you. What time's the race we're at?
Bandera, Texas, starting at like 5 a.m. So you can call me at like mile 60. See if
Yeah, I mean, because it'll be, I'm on the West Coast, so I'll call you when I wake up that day. I'll be in Texas. that weekend.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um, cause you're in Houston.
Yeah, I live in Houston. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be. Oh yeah, maybe let's save that number. I'm gonna be in. I'm gonna go to the Austin Grand Prix with some friends. Danny, my friend Amy, and
Okay.
my girlfriend and I we're gonna go. And hell yeah, I'm excited. Cause
Good deal, man.
that's like my favorite thing. So I'll be in Texas that weekend. That's how far is it
All right.
from Austin?
I'm not very good at geometry, if I'm being honest. So I don't know the
Okay,
distance or anything.
we'll figure it out. But I might see if I can go catch you at the end or something like that. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Cause Danny'd
I'm gonna try to
come.
recruit a bunch of book people out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah. Okay,
that'd be
yeah,
great.
we'll see it. So October 23rd. So we'll get on the week after or something, and then see how it went. It could be like a shorter episode
See
if
if
you
I
want.
survived.
See how you did it. 1, 2, 3. How'd you do it?
Be wrapped up in a bunch of bags of ice.
That's right, wrapped in
So,
ice,
yeah.
and we'll chat about how it went and how you kicked its ass. And then that day we'll set a
Yes,
date
sir.
for my marathon. How about that?
That's right. I'm gonna be looking up marathons in Nebraska. You think I'm kidding, but
No,
you're gonna run with me.
I
We're
can
gonna
tell
reel
you're
it.
gonna I can tell you're the type of person that's gonna follow up with this. So I can kind of see what
I'll
I got
follow up with
myself
you.
into. But it's all right. That's all right. All right, man. Well, again, I appreciate you hopping on. Thank you for being on here.
Yeah.
This is cool to have met you this way. I thank you for
Yeah, man.
following along, for being a fan.
I appreciate the work you guys do, and let me know if there's ever anything I can do to help you guys out with anything.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that after this. Yeah. But speaking of which, if you know if
Uh,
you or someone you know would like to have your company featured on our show, we're getting pretty solid following. At least, um, I would say about 500 just on the Anchor, just on like sound only, not including Facebook. I think we're getting about 300 a month just listeners. It's pretty, which is not bad.
okay.
Considering
Wrapping it up.
we're not paying for anything. Like this is so. If you want to
Yeah.
get your company on here, we can sponsor you. And or if you just want to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, do so. We're going to be going into our YouTube a little bit more as well. So Willie, thank you so much for hopping on, man. I'll follow up with you about the
Yeah.
marathon stuff, and let me know. Okay, so I'll call you in that morning of your race, and keep on keeping on, dude. You're running like a crazy man. So
Trying
thanks for
to.
hopping on. My name's Andres
Yeah. Thanks
Gamboa.
for having me, man.
We've been with Willie Andrade. Entonces nos vemos. Hasta luego.
Adios.